Everyone. My name is Ken White, and I am the Executive Director of the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. And we'd like to welcome you to our government contracting series. This has been a series that we've been working on. We've had partnerships in doing business with the federal government. We've had partnerships with doing business with the state. We've done doing business with Prince George's County, and we've done doing business with Montgomery County. So we're hoping that we've been able to bring to you guys some valuable information to help you be more successful in your businesses. Just quickly about the chamber, just want to take a quick minute. We are the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. We are a statewide organization with members ranging as far north as Hartford County, as far west as Hagerstown, Washington County, and as far south as St. Mary's County. We have an office headquartered in Rockville. We have a satellite office in Hagerstown, and soon to have a presence in Prince George's County, which is where I actually sit. We are a chamber with 400 members and a database in excess of 4,200. We are providing a lot of content to help our businesses grow and to sustain and grow themselves. As I mentioned, we have the government series that we've just put together for the last 3 months. And I think expanding into July. I think our final session for doing business with the state is July 26th. And I think that's we're going to be sharing information on our veterans program. We do have some upcoming events I'd like to share with you. Melissa, can you show our networking event that's coming up? If you are in the area, we have a great networking event on tomorrow at Seasons 52 in Rockville. This is Women's Health and Mental Health Awareness, and we'll be having presentations by two of our members, Aretha Butler and Tony Maxwell. And so please come out and join us for some eats and meets and greets. Melissa, can you do our Juneteenth flyer for us? We are really excited. We have a Juneteenth event coming up on June 15th at the Brookside Gardens in Wheaton. Sometimes, depending on how you look it up, it's either Wheaton or Silver Spring, Maryland. On June 15th from 5 to 7, we will be having a beer and wine tasting with Black-owned breweries and wineries located here in Maryland. We'll also have some spoken word, some historical presentations from the Banneker Douglas Museum and the Maryland Commission on African American Culture and History. We will have an art exhibit, we'll have live jazz and networking and a musical selection. So please come out and join us. It's a free event. Please register quickly. I think it's going to sell out. It's going to be a sellout event. And we look forward to celebrating Juneteenth and meeting and greeting with all of you. Finally, I'm going to make the assumption, I know I get in trouble when you make an assumption, but I'm going to make the assumption that if you're participating in this webinar, then you are in our database and you are getting lots of information from us regarding our upcoming events. Believe it or not, those are not all the things that are going on. We try to be very selective in what we send out, but we do post other resources and events that are happening in our geographic area on our social media platforms. So please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And with that said, I want to thank Lisa and Eduardo with the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women Affairs for partnering with us on this four-part series. Yep, on this four-part series on doing business with the government, doing business with the state. And I look forward to today's presentation. And with that, Eduardo, I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate, first of all, just working with Ken, Melissa, and the chamber. So thank you guys very much for the opportunity to be able to sort of put on, sort of this four-part series. And then real quick, what I want to do is I'm just going to give a quick overview of our office, what we do, what we are involved in. Again, we're the Governor's Office of Small, Minority, and Women Business Affairs. We also, that covers veterans as well, veteran businesses. We do our best to try to connect small businesses to greater economic opportunities. And we do a lot of that by providing oversight, monitoring, and compliance for 3 socioeconomic procurement programs. We conduct statewide outreach and training. This is sort of an aspect of that. We do collaborations with different organizations or chambers to be able to provide information about how to do business with the state of Maryland, as well as our own. And I'll give you a little sample of some of the things we have coming up. And of course, our website, you go to our website, go MD, small biz, that's BIZ, .Maryland is spelled out, .gov. And then you can go there and you can obviously find a lot of online resources that can help you, with small business growth and development. So take a look at our website. You can find some things there. The 3 programs that I mentioned are the Small Business Reserve Program. It's a prime contracting program, 15% set aside. By prime, I mean that it's for you as a vendor to do business directly with the state agencies surrounding contract opportunities. It is race and gender neutral, so we're not looking at that. We're looking at the size of your business. There are some state-defined small business eligibility standards that apply here, and you can find those on our website. It's an online certification process, so that's what we call self-certification. You go on through EMA, E-Maryland Marketplace Advantage, that is our e-procurement platform, and you can sign up there. It takes you 20 minutes to get this process done. And there is an annual renewal that occurs with this program. The second one, which you will hear more about now, would be the Minority Business Enterprise Program. You're going to hear about the certification process for that in a few minutes. That's a primarily subcontracting program, 29% aspirational goal, race and gender specific. So we are looking at those factors as part of eligibility. Again, application-based certification process, and then our colleagues from the Maryland Department of Transportation will cover that here in a few minutes, and that has an annual review process. And then there's a veteran-owned small business enterprise program, also a primarily subcontracting program, 1% aspirational goal, and it has a 3-step certification process that also occurs through EMA, that e-procurement platform, that includes the verification of your veteran status, along with some other factors. That also has an annual renewal. Now, the process for the veteran-owned small business, that may take a few days to go into effect. And then we encourage, if you are part of these subcontracting programs, that we do encourage you to try to perform as a prime contractor as much as possible. A couple of things that I want to just highlight for you guys that'll be helpful. On our website, we have what we call mining public data techniques. On the first page, you go to the bottom to the right-hand side, and you're going to find a set of videos and slide decks that you can take a look at that will show you how to navigate in short order, because they're not long videos, but they're long enough and short enough that you can get through them, and it'll help you understand how to use E-Maryland Marketplace, that's EMA, the procurement platform, to navigate it to identify, contract opportunities apart from other things. Our procurement forecast, it's another platform that you can use to identify opportunities. The Board of Public Works and the agendas they put together. And then also, in addition to that, a little bit about, once you find information about agencies, opportunities, and individuals that you can connect with, what are some of the ways that you can do that with confidence? So you can find these 4 on our website, and that should be very helpful for you guys to kind of see, again, videos and slide decks, both, that you can sort of look at that on your own. A little bit about, I mentioned we do some statewide training. We have what we call our TIPS webinar series. That's training and insights for procurement success. 2 free webinars every month, no cost to attend. These are all on Zoom, so they are virtual. And you always have the opportunity afterwards to download that presenter slide deck, as well as take a look at the video recordings for those trainings on our YouTube playlist. Okay, so again, you can find more information about this on our website. A little bit about what is coming up. Well, tomorrow, Thursday, May 25th, we have our We'll have our veteran-owned small business enterprise program. So we'll have our compliance manager. We'll be talking about that program. And then in June, Tuesday, June 27th, strategies for digital marketing. And then that Thursday, the 29th, leveraging your certification. So we get into, what are some of those plus things about getting a certification? How do you use that to continue to grow your business? And then there are 2 workshops. These are one's in person, one's a webinar. June 7th, Ready, Set, Grow at MGM National Harbor. You want to go to that. I'm bringing about 16 different state agencies that you can connect with directly. You'll hear some overview about things, but then you'll be able to actually connect with them in person about opportunities they may have. And then on June 9th, we have an informational webinar where we'll have Apex Accelerator in Maryland, which is formerly Maryland PTAC. And it's a 1-hour informational webinar about the services they can provide to help you guys out. And with that, I'm going to also include this so that you guys can get the link for our video playlist where you can kind of see what have we been doing for this past year. And so we post all of those things there that you can go and look at the recordings for yourselves. And that's it for me. With that, we will have Ms. Ian Young with the Maryland Department of Transportation, their Office of Small Minority Business Policy. She'll come up next and she'll talk to you guys now about the actual certification process for your MBE, that second program, and what it takes to get through that particular process. And that's it for me. So I don't know if you're going to take over or if Ian Young can just come on in and she can start to share her.
John's ready to transition in.
Yes. Let me share my screen if you can stop sharing Edward's screen. Yeah. Okay. And everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So thank you, Eduardo, for that kind introduction. And good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here with you all this morning. My name is Eun Young Hong. I'm the Outreach Manager of the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy at the Maryland Department of Transportation, as known as MDOT. So first of all, thank you so much, Eduardo, for inviting me to be here. And also, I would like to thank the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce for hosting this wonderful webinar series and inviting me to talk about the 4 certification programs administered by MDOT. So MBE, DBE, ACDBE, SBE, if you're not familiar with the language, like minority business enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, airport concession disadvantaged business enterprise, and small business enterprise. Okay. And there will be a Q&A session that we will take a question you may have at the end of my presentation. So Office of Small and Minority Business Policy, as the name would indicate, we do establish policy aimed at increasing small and minority business participation in state contracting. We conduct outreach events aimed at getting more small and minority businesses to register and take advantage of our programs, because we are the administrator of several of the state's socio-economic preference program for businesses. Maryland recognized that small and minority businesses are the backbone of our state's economy. They enrich our neighborhoods, hire our residents, and they really pull back into our state with a level of intentionality that many times mega corporations do not. So I'm very excited to be here with you all this morning to talk to you about the Minority Business Enterprise Program, MBE program. MDOT is the official certification agency for the state. Maryland has the oldest largest and one of the most aggressive MBE programs in the country. In fact, Maryland is often considered the golden standard in operation of MBE program. Our program was established in 1978. Our directory has over 8,500 certified firms. We have a statewide goal of 29%, which means state agencies must structure their procurement with an eye toward 29% of their total expenditures for the fiscal year going to minority or women-owned businesses, whether it's directly a prime or a subcontractor. Types of certification. There are 4 programs that the state offers and certifies in. The Minority Business Enterprise, MBE, which we just discussed, applies to state-funded contracts. And the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, is a federally funded program, so it only applies to the agencies and contracts that receive federal funding from the U.S. Department of Transportation, including State Highway Administration, SHA, Maryland Aviation Administration, MAA, Maryland Transit Administration, MTA, Metropolitan Planning Organizations, MPOs, and the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, ACDBE, which applies to contract administered by Maryland Aviation Administration, MAA. And the last but not least, Small Business Enterprise, SBE. This is a federally funded program, but unlike the MBE program, it is race and gender neutral, which applies to SHA, MAA, and MTA. So I think now would be a good time to note that there is one application for all of these programs. It is called the Uniform Certification Application. And we will talk about that a little bit more, the process in the presentation. But please know that completing this one single application considers you for all of these programs at once. Benefits of certification, access and opportunities. There are a slew of benefits that come with becoming a certified business in Maryland. The biggest of is really great exposure to government contracting opportunity and private sector contracting opportunities. And remember, only MDOT certified firms can fulfill MBE or DBE goals on a contract. So for example, if a solicitation comes out with a designated MBE goal, you cannot act as the MBE or DBE partner to fulfill that goal without this certification. Lastly, once you are certified, and your company's name and contact information will be added to our state online directory, which is public record. This directory is utilized by government agencies, prime contractors, private sector companies, essentially anyone looking for MBE, DBE, ACDBE, or SBE partner participation is utilizing our directory to find those companies. And monitoring and advocacy. An added benefit of state certification is really having the state's backing as you maneuver your contract. The state monitors contract compliance and advocates for you as an MBE or DBE in the event that you run into issues during the course of your contract. Every state agency has an MBE liaison. The contact information for this individual is listed publicly, and they are responsible for ensuring MBEs are treated fairly on the contracts. MBE liaisons are also responsible for enforcing policies and procedures of the MBE program for their specific agency, for example, like prompt payment. Why do we certify? Transparently, we ask for a lot of information during the certification process, but it is absolutely critical to maintaining the integrity of our programs. we want to ensure that we are preventing fraud and abuse of the MBE program. Our extensive research and verification process ensure that only bona fide disadvantaged and minority businesses are certified. And again, only funds that are certified by MDOT can be utilized to fulfill the state's MBE contracting goals. I have great news for you. So there is no cost whatsoever for any of our certification programs. No hidden fees, no cost to maintain certification. In the same vein, no one should be charging you citing that they can expedite your application. That's not true. That's a lie. Is the program working? While there is always room for improvement, I think the answer would be a resounding yes. In fiscal year 2021, there was over $1.1 billion awarded to MDOT certified farms, the MBEs, which makes 17.2%. Even though that is really a lot of money, the state did not meet the 29% goal. So that means we can do better and we should do better. The state conducts a disparity study every 5 years to determine whether or not the need for the MBE program and other remedial programs still exist. The last disparity study determined that we do. This, coupled with the rising number of certification applications, shows that there is still a need and interest in these programs. But we need your support to ensure that we have a range of certified MBEs spanning across a wide range of industries and who have the skill set to meet our prime and subcontracting goals, the needs, while building capacity for themselves. It's a win-win situation. Marketing tips. So let's get started. There are roughly 70 agencies, colleges, and universities that participate in state's MBE program. So it is important to know who your customer is. And you have to be willing to start small. A common theme in business is building trust and relationships. And that is no difference for working with the state agencies and prime contractors. Once you get started with the smaller contract, you will start to build your reputation as trustworthy and reputable company that may be used on larger contract in the future. While it is not required, it is important to have a business plan to lay out key benchmarks for your business, where you want to go, and how you plan to get there. You are going to want to learn the procurement process and get familiar with key stakeholders. Every contract with an MBE or DBE goal must have what is known as pre-bid meeting, where the contracting agency discusses the requirement of the contract and answer all the questions about the contract. You are going to want to attend pre-bid meetings, not only to familiarize with the process and the language, but also pre-bid meetings are where you will meet the procurement officer for a specific project, as well as potential prime contractors who may be awarded the contract and are looking for MBE partners. These meetings are like providing a great opportunity for you to network and let people know what your company offers. And you're going to want to prepare a capability statement as well for distribution, as this is an essential marketing tool if you're interested in government contracting. There are contracts below a certain dollar threshold that are not required to be advertised on the state's online bid board. For this contract under 15K, the procurement office may direct solicit. So you are going to want to make sure your capability statement make it to their desk as they are looking around for companies to take on some of these smaller contracts. Lastly, master your elevator speech. Take every opportunity you get to make a 30-second introduction of you, your company, and what your company does You never know who you will meet and where you will meet them. Who does what in government purchasing? As I mentioned, when it comes to government contracting, you are going to want to know the key players. There are three main components in government contracting. Think of it like a like tiered hierarchy. So state agency, they advertise the bid solicitation, award it to prime contractor, and they pay the prime contractor directly. The prime contractor is the company that, based on the contract, works directly for the state agency, pays their subcontractors. Subcontractor, based on portion of the complete contract, works directly for the prime contractor. So I cannot stress enough, as a subcontractor, even a certified contractor, your contract is directly with the prime. So you're going to want to review that carefully. The state is going to do everything in its power to ensure that whatever MBE and DBE percentage of the contract is allocated to you is fulfilled. However, that in and of itself does not cover everything that should be in a subcontracting agreement. So make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed when it comes to entering a contract with your prime contractor. The MBE, DBE, ACDBE role. So if you are participating as an MBE subcontractor, again, you must be certified by MDOT to do so. Keep in mind, you are not limited to subcontracting opportunities. You can also bid as a prime contractor. Although you can obviously bid as a prime without a certification, there is an added benefit to bidding on a contract with an MBE goal as a prime when you are certified yourself. So as an MBE prime, you can self-perform 50% of the over MBE goal and 100% of any one sub goal you qualify for. So for example, if the Department of General Services, DGS, advertise a construction contract with an 30% MBE goal and you win the contract as a prime, you can self-fulfill 15% or half of the goal, and the other 15% you'd have to award to another MBE firm. Connect to the opportunities. So speaking of DGS, that is a great segue into how you can connect to contracting opportunities in the state. So Eduardo briefly mentioned before my presentation, but to do so, you must register as a vendor on e-Maryland Marketplace Advantage, as known as EMA. This is where all solicitations for the state valued at 15K or more are advertised. As I previously mentioned, local governments utilize the bid board as well. So it is sort of a hub for opportunities across the state. While registering as a vendor, make sure you sign up for MS Small Business Reserve SBR program. There are some solicitations that are designated as for small business only. If you are a part of the SBR program, you will be notified of those opportunities and you can compete against other similarly situated small businesses for prime contracting opportunities with the state, not with the bigger company, larger companies. You do not need MDOT certification to register. So do this as soon as possible so that you can begin to bid on contract. The SBR program is self-certifying program, and you can apply and be certified as an SBR on the same day if you meet all the qualifications. So you can find more information about EMA and vendor training webinars if you can visit like www.procurement.maryland.gov. If you're going to bid on a contract as a prime, be sure to follow up with the state agency or procurement officer who advertised that a bid solicitation for updates. If the contract was awarded to another bidder, be aware that you can request debriefing to discuss why you are not awarded. so that you are better prepared for the next time. If you bid on a contract as a subcontractor, you can follow up with the prime for updates regarding the status of the contract, such as who was awarded and how to move forward if and when the prime gets a notice to proceed. Use your resources. So join professional organizations and be an active member if possible. For example, come to the Conference of Minority Transportation Officers, WTS, Women's Transportation Seminar, and MWMCA, Maryland Washington Minority Companies Association, and attend procurement fairs and matchmaking events. It is important to network as much as possible, especially as a small or minority-owned businesses. Utilize your social media. Create accounts for your business. Everything is going online to do research. Like everyone is going online to do research for a variety of things. So make your online presence known as it can be as an essential marketing tool. Again, network, network, network every chance you get. The Governor's Office of Small Minority and Women Business Affairs, the GOSPA. The GOSPA is the state's primary advocate for small and minority-owned businesses, and they have a ton of resources on their website to help you get started. It is through their procurement forecast that they help connect small and minority business to contracting opportunities. The procurement forecast is a user-friendly tool that allows to search a listing of opportunities for the upcoming fiscal year for every single agency. You do you can do so utilizing a number of queries, whether it's the industry, the dollar amount, the location of the contract. So the tool then allows you to download your result and see the contact information for the procurement officer associated with the opportunities that you've identified. Calendar of events. So this slide provides links to the calendar of events for MDOT, DGS, and GOSPA. So be sure to check all the calendar because there may be events on one agency's calendar, but is not on another one. Certification eligibility. So there are 5 standards that MDOT evaluates to determine eligibility for the programs: ownership, minority status, control, personal networks, and size. We will take a closer look at each of these in the next few slides. So ownership. As it relates to ownership, an MBE is defined as a small business that is at least 51% independently owned and controlled by one or more socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. Must be able to prove how you gain ownership of the company, and the owner must be US citizen or permanent resident. If your company is based in Maryland, you must be in good standing with the Maryland Department of Assessment and Taxation. And minority status. The certain groups are presumed to be socially disadvantaged: women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, Subcontinent Asian Americans, and disabled person MBE program only. So if you are an ethnic woman, you can be duly certified in both categories, woman and your identified ethnicity. If you are not in one or more of the presumed groups from the previous slide, you can still try to prove that you are socially and economically disadvantaged. But this is not an easy case to prove, and such cases are more closely evaluated during the review process for the certification. Control. The minority owners must have the overall knowledge, managerial and technical competence, and experience in the particular field they are trying to be certified in. MDOT follows the North American Industry Classification System NACE codes when identifying what industry you want to get certified in. So you can find the codes from the link. And personal net worth. To evaluate your economic disadvantage, MDOT will look at your personal net worth, PNW. For MBE program, your PNW cannot exceed 1.9 million. And for DBE, ACDBE, your PNW cannot exceed 1.32 million. So if you are married, you will include your portion of the jointly held assets between you and your spouse. PNW does not include primary residence or the business seeking certification. And size, you must be small as it relates to the SBAs, the U.S. Small Business Administration size standards. Size standards vary based on industry, based on the number of employees, or average gross receipts from the past 5 years. If you meet one of those, like for your industry, you are small as it pertains to the certification process. The certification process. So the certification process is comprised of 4 steps: application, investigation, evaluation, and determination. So application, the applicant must submit a completed application package that includes all supporting documentation, can be submitted hard copy or electronically. And an MBE officer will be assigned to your case to conduct an interview with the applicant and write a report which will be submitted to the committee for their review. Evaluation. The MBE Advisory Committee will review the report from the officer from the investigation. Some applicants may be asked to appear before the committee for further clarification on some details based on the report submitted by the officer from the investigation, from the interview. And the MBE Advisory Committee meetings are open to the public, so visit the website for more details on that one. Determination. MBE Advisory Committee chairperson will either approve or deny your certification. If you are denied, you will receive explanation on why you were denied. If you apply for certification in more than one NACE code, it is possible to be approved in one but denied in another one. Please keep in mind, if you are based in a state other than Maryland, you must be certified by your home state first before you can apply for certification by MDOT. The application. So completing the application. If doing the online application, utilize Google Chrome and follow all instructions included with the application. If something does not apply to you, you must put NA, not applicable, or does not apply. Please do not leave any blank. Your application will be considered incomplete. And on a separate sheet or in the space provided, explain why that question does not apply to your business. And section 1, general information. On the application where it says contact person, it should list the minority applicant, not an assistant or assigned person. Also, under general information in section 2, this is where you will put the NACE codes you wish to be certified in. If you are unsure to which code put there, then write the products or services that your business provides. And an MBE officer will help you determine which codes would be best for your business. In section 2B, you will put any information that relates to your relationship with other businesses. In the ownership section, you will provide information on how you gain ownership in the company. Every owner, whether it's minority or non-minority owners, must complete a separate ownership page and provide proof of identity and their citizenship. So section 3, when completing the initial investment section, this is where we will ask for the backup documentation to show proof of initial investment, for example, bank statements, canceled checks, and like receipts. Part E provide a copy of a signatory card or a letter from your financial institution that shows us who has authority to sign checks on the business bank account. Part H, if there are any licensing or permit requirements for your particular industry, you must provide copies of those with the state of Maryland. If you are an out-of-state firm, you must submit copies for Maryland and your home state as well. In parts I and J, you input information on your 3 larger contracts you have had and the 3 current contract you are currently working on or have had in the past 3 years. Affidavit of certification. This document must be completed in entirety, signed and notarized. It is where you declare your minority status and certify your PNW. Personal financial statement. This is the same as PNW, personal net worth. The terms are used interchangeably. Only the minority owner that makes up like the 51% ownership has to submit a PNW. This document must be signed and notarized. Steps to submit an application for MBE, DBE, ACDBE, and SBE certification. I mentioned uniform certification application, the single application you need to fill out. So first, download the uniform certification application UCA, print or save to your desktop, and read the instructions for completing the application. Complete all sections of the application. Do not leave any blanks on the application. Note NA in areas that are not applicable. For areas marked as NA, include a brief statement about why the information is not applicable. And download and complete the required like PNW form. And this is the official form to be used for all 4 certifications. And review the appropriate document checklist for submission. Then you can submit your application online. Retain a copy of the entire application package for your files. So to complete and submit your online application, you can visit our website, www.mdot.maryland.gov, and select MBE in the toolbar. Then you will be directed to this web page. Then you click certifications and forms. Then you will see this screen. So you click apply for certification. Then your form is not currently certified with MDOT, so you create an account. And you will need to fill out some information. So section 1, business lookup, tax ID number, then business information, name and type. And section 3, business contact information, including email, phone number, and address. Section 4, company contact person, name, and other required information needs to be filled out. Then enter search parameters below and click the search button. You can then send yourself a username, password reminder by email. If you do not see your business listed in the search result, and you can select change parameters and search again. If you are unable to find your business or the contact information is incorrect, you can watch the video or you can contact customer support. Supporting document checklist. So when completing the application, please follow the document checklist as it relates to your business entity, LLC, partnership, corporation, or sole proprietorship. So if you are choosing to do the hard copy of the application, make sure to place all documents, including the application, in a binder with label dividers for each part of the application. If you are an LLC, we do need a copy of your company's operating agreement, excuse me. Always keep a copy for your records. And this is especially useful when seeking certification in other states. They may ask you for a copy of what you submitted to MDOT as your home state. As you renew and maintain your certification, be sure to update your records with those approval letters to show that your certification is current. Certification time. You may be wondering, so how long does it take to get certified? So the overall 4-step certification takes an average of 90 days to complete. Please keep in mind your time does not start until MDOT receives a completely completed application package. This includes all supporting documentation information and a completely completed application. So if possible, complete the application online. It's preventing submitter of incomplete applications. Delay in certification. The most common cause for a delay in certification is an incomplete application. This can be due to something as simple as leaving blanks in your application. This is why we stress the importance of not leaving any blanks in your application. As a reminder, if something does not apply to you, what did I say to you? You must put NA, does not apply, or not applicable. Online annual certification review. In order to maintain your certification, if you are still within the eligibility requirements, you must complete the online annual review process. 60 days prior to your certification anniversary date, MDOT will send you a notification via email with instructions on how to complete your annual review process. So once received, you must go into the link here and log into the annual review document portal, or look up your account and upload your documents. If you do not complete this process in the time requested, you will lose your certification and you have to complete the certification process from the beginning. We don't want that. Expansion of services. Once certified, your company can be eligible for expansion of services. If you start doing work in NACE codes that aren't covered by your current certification, your company gains a new permit license certification. Completing the expansion of service process will add on new NACE codes to your current certification. Once you submit the request, an officer will be assigned to your case, interview you, and you may or may not meet with the committee. Takes an average 60 days to complete this process. Add references to your profile. One way to help your company stand out in the online directory is adding references to your company profile. This allows those companies searching for potential MBE partners to see and reach out to the companies you have done work for in the past. So you can have up to 3 references listed. This is the document you will use to request that references be added to your company profile. It has a 24-hour turnaround time. So once you submit the form, follow up with the office the following business day to confirm your profile has been updated. And keep in mind that certification does not guarantee a contract award. So even though you're certified, you will still have to put in that extra work and effort to network, meet with primes and state agencies to let them know that you are certified and what your company has to offer. It does not guarantee a company's ability to work, meaning certification does not guarantee the quality of your work you put out. And it does not mean your company meets all of the requirements to do business in Maryland. The MDOT certifications mean that your company has met the eligibility standards we covered earlier in this presentation. Small Business Enterprise Program, SBE program. MDOT's SBE program is race and gender neutral, and it is designed for prime contracting opportunities only. The purpose of the SBE program is to facilitate competition among the small business community. You are not competing with larger or more established companies, the primes. Assist in building capacity and prevent unjustified bundling of contract. This program only applies to contract with SHA, MTA, and MBE. To be eligible for this program, SBE program, you must be small as it relates to the SBE size standards. No matter the industry, your average gross receipt cannot exceed 30.4 million. And the 51% owner must be a US citizen or permanent resident. Their PNW cannot exceed $1.32 million. And the company must be organized for profit. If you are MDOT DBE certified, you will automatically be SBE certified. So talk with the experts. So this is the contact information for the Office of Minority Business Enterprise. This is the office you will contact for any and every question regarding your certification application, documentation that needs to be submitted with the application, and anything else related directly to your application. And this is our office contact information. Our office hosts MBE, DBE, ACDBE, and SBE application assistant webinars on the first Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. And we do host quarterly evening webinars on the first Tuesday of March, June, September, and December at 5:30 p.m. So we have two upcoming virtual workshop on Tuesday, June 6th, 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. I can provide the registration links if you'd like to attend our workshop or want to share with your network. So if you have any question about the application workshop or any outreach activity and events, please feel free to contact us. And as you learned today, we MDOT administer the wonderful certification programs that you can benefit from. So if you are interested in and meet all the eligibility requirements, please apply and take advantage of our wonderful programs. So we are here to help you and work with you. And I can dedicate some minutes to answer any questions you may have. Ken or Eduardo, get back to you.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying thank you. Go ahead. It's your show.
No, we were just trying to go over some questions, things of that nature. Good opportunity to just mention to everyone if you have not been putting in questions, but a question has arisen, put it in the chat. We're going to do our best to try to cover as many as we can from a curated list of questions that have been coming in. And then Ken, I don't know how you want to deal with any other type of Q&A, but so I'll go with the list of stuff that I have and that I have seen and stuff like that. So thank you, first of all, to Ms. In Young and their office for being with us today. We appreciate that. First question, right off the bat, is I know the time frame for how long these take. What's a realistic time frame for someone who is just starting their application from beginning to end? And if you could clarify, when does the process start? The actual.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm actually an MBE officer with the Minority Business Enterprise. And to answer that question, it starts when all the documentation is submitted. So the documentation goes to intake. Intake then reviews all documentation. There could be documents missing. There could be several factors. They'll reach back out and let you know what documents are missing. And then once you move from intake, there is a little waiting period. I would say now it's probably about a month and a half, looking at the cases that I'm starting to receive now. And the applicant will actually receive an email, a correspondence through the portal, which indicates that there has been an officer assigned to the case. And so within that time period, the officer has 30 days to reach out to the applicant to then do an interview. Once the interview is completed, depending upon if the officer needs to ask for more documents or just, it could be different factors. The officer does have to type up a report to submit to the committee. Once it's submitted to the committee, then the decision is rendered. The committee renders their decision. So I would say now it's about 90 days, just depending on things. I would say that's the long haul, but it can be shorter. Just every applicant is different, every case is different. And so you really can't tell until we actually start working on the application more deeply with the officer.
All righty. Thank you for that, because I know that's a question that always comes up about just the time frame, and I know it's different from our perspective. It can be different for each one. So thank you for that. So here's a question, and I don't know. I guess you let me know if this is something you guys have come across, but when it comes to evaluating the program itself, right? I noticed in the chat there was some mention of the disparity study. Right, I think that also happens through the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy. What kind of key performance indicators are there, I guess, related to how well the program is doing, or that is related maybe to that disparity study? Can you give some maybe information about that?
I don't have any information about the disparity studies. That's more so that the director and the chairperson that actually tackle on the disparity studies and go to those meetings and things like that. So they would be able to give more insight in regards to that.
Okay. Now, how often could you explain how often is the disparity study? And then how does that play a role into this program?
I don't know how often, but I do know.
Every 5 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's every 5 years, and we are currently conducting the disparity study. So you will be able to see the report really soon. And as Heather mentioned, the Office of Small and Minority Business Policy team is working with the different the diversity and equity office and other different office to work on this one to see what is needed and how can we improve our program and policies for the minority and disadvantaged businesses. If I answer to your question well. So it's every 5 years.
Yeah, so every 5 years. Yeah, that's my understanding as well. Of course, every 5 years. And yeah, look, the program is not going to be perfect. Everybody knows that. It's been around for 45 years. However, it does go through my understanding, there's a lot of legislative processes that have to take place, usually when it affects the program. So that's kind of how those things get done. But all right, let's move on to another question, and maybe you can clarify, and I can help clarify it on this as well a little bit. But so there was a mention of the UN SPSC codes, right? The United Nations Standard Product and Services codes. What's the difference between that and how they're used in Maryland versus the NAICS codes and how they're used in Maryland?
I am not familiar with the UNSPCS codes.
I have some familiarity, but I just wanted to, in case you had an answer for that as well.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, I didn't want to just step in and answer. So, all right, so real quick, just to clarify for people, right? When you go through the process for the MDOT MBE program, the MBE program is using your NAICS codes, right? Those are the national codes for product and services. When you use our system, our e-procurement system called EMA, EMMA, eMaryland Marketplace Advantage, that system uses UN SPSC codes, okay? They're both codes that are gonna describe your product and services. It's just one is being used for when we go through the MBE process and that certification. And then that's very common across the board and stuff like that. I believe they use the same codes maybe for the federal government side. I know, Ken, you guys just did some things with that. So I think they use that. The UN SPSC codes, at least in the state of Maryland, they're used specifically for EMA. When you register in EMA, it's gonna ask you to list the codes related to your product or services, and the system uses the UN SPSC codes to help match, right, contracts that use the same codes by contracting officers and the ones you have in your profile. And it sort of notifies you, hey, something came out with the same codes you use, but that's the UN SPSC codes is specific to EMA. And AICS codes to this process that they're discussing today about getting your certification for your MBE. So anyway, that's that portion. All right, I'm sorry for, okay, the uniform application form, right? You discussed that. Where do people go to find that form? The uniform application, right? Certified application. I'm sorry,
Yes,
I might have gotten that wrong, but.
No, you got it correct. Lorena did post it in the chat, but as well as you can go to mdot.maryland.gov, and there's an option to go to MBE, and it's listed on there. It's just a couple clicks away.
Okay. All right. All right. Those were the primary questions that were listed. I look
Can I
and see
step in
if
for a
any
second?
other ones come up.
Yeah, can you address something? There is a member that's putting comments in the chat in reference to the effectiveness of MBE and historically. Can you kind of speak to the governor's commitment to holding the agencies accountable for the whole MBE program moving forward?
Absolutely. So I do know that once companies are certified, it can be frustrating getting those contracts and things like that. And then if they are awarded the contracts, the MBE or the prime contractor may not reach out or things like that. There are liaisons in place for the vendors to reach out to say, hey, I've been awarded a contract, but I'm not being used. What do I do? So that liaison then takes over and does the research and investigates why isn't that prime contractor using that minority business. So the governor's committed to getting these small businesses, these contracts and everything. So there are people in place to help direct or investigate to why they're not getting used.
And if I could add to that, I can say there's definitely been a noticeable difference, okay, internally as far as attention to the effectiveness of the programs themselves, okay? Not everybody sees it, but if you're familiar, the executive order alone that this governor put forward, he requesting, in essence, a snapshot of where are we with the program and how effective have we been with the program, if, you know, and so that executive order that went out sort of put every agency in that reflective position, right? So right now, as we speak, all agencies are going through that process of trying to get a better understanding as to where are we, so that we can start to determine, you know, if we said we were going to go this far, but we only made it to here, why? Not just that we didn't get there, but why did we not get there? So that those issues can then be addressed, heading towards that more effectiveness. So there are things happening behind the scenes, if you will, that are pushing for this program to continue to improve upon itself. right now, while that's happening, of course, we're still ongoing. We're still constantly offering the, for people to apply, to sign up for the programs, because that also plays a role, right? The more companies and businesses that are involved in any one of these programs, whether it's the MBE, whether it's the Small Business Reserve that we talked about the first time, whether it's the veteran program that we're going to discuss in July, the more that people are involved in and actually participating in the programs, the more that we can continue to do to improve upon them. None of them are perfect. Okay, so that's just get that out of, none of them are meant to be that golden ticket that just because you got certified, okay, now I get all the business in the world. At the end of the day, I will always tell any business, you have to make sure your capacity is where it needs to be for anything. And then all these other programs become an addition to what you're capable of doing. Right. And so anyway, there are things happening. So we are working on improving all of these processes.
And I'll just add that I've heard directly from the governor's mouth. I've been in the room where he said, there's a new sheriff in town and accountability is going to be key in the whole MBE program moving forward. So let's give him a chance to demonstrate and prove the transition.
Yeah. Again, it does take time. He came in right into legislative period. And I think a lot of that probably was already set prior to the legislative period. So I suspect that he probably came in and had to deal with whatever had already been put forward, because I believe the process is as early as the fall of, before the legislative period begins, legislators are working on putting together bills and stuff like that. So now that he came in, now that he's beginning to see how some of these things are working or not working, he'll get an opportunity, I think, to, put forward whatever he feels is necessary moving forward. So again, things are happening.
Absolutely.
We're doing our best. Meanwhile, please bear with us if we're falling short. Let us know, communicate with us. We will take the input because it's all important to us to know good, bad, or ugly. Okay, so just know that we'll listen to you so that we know we can take note of these things.
And I will also add that if there's any concerns, please let the chamber know, and we'll reach out to our partners and see what we can do to resolve issues.
Yeah, we're always open to hearing. I cannot always give you the answer that you may want, and I may not be the person to even know what that answer will be. But if you pose the question, I can always put it forward. And hope we can find someone to answer the question. So, or at least get us closer to something. So I do appreciate that. Thank you guys very much. All right, let me see here if there's any other questions while we were discussing. So I know this, and this is, I don't know, this is just a general, I don't know what answer you guys might have for this. So there are out-of-state companies that do play a role here, right? Or they're getting business. Let's just say instead of maybe a state, how does that work, or what is that process, and why is that happening? Maybe I don't know if you have an answer for that, Heather or Ian. You're on mute, Heather. Sorry.
My button wasn't working. Can you say the question one more time?
Just we all recognize that there are out-of-state contractors. That
yes.
Some of them do get business that is in Maryland, and why does that happen versus maybe a Maryland-based company getting the business?
It's all in how you present yourself as a company. All the out-of-state companies, every company that is MBE certified in their home state is able to become certified in our state. So it's more so the presentation of your company, how the vendors look at you as a company. So I would say if you're going after these contracts, put your best foot forward have your company stand out more than others. That's basically it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Build relationships with those vendors. Like go to the networking opportunities and things like that. Because if they keep seeing you, consistently seeing you, you're holding these conversations. You never know what can come from those conversations.
Yeah, and there is sort of again, and that's a question I know that it gets posed, but the region that we are in puts us in a particular position in which if we restrict, if there is a restriction as to who can and cannot do business with us out of state, or then sometimes that comes back, and then there are restrictions that are then placed on companies from Maryland that are so close to the DC or Virginia or Delaware or Pennsylvania areas, let's say that's part of your scope of where you're going to do business, because you can do it in those spaces. And so sometimes that plays a role as to why there are out-of-state businesses that are allowed to come here, because if we put certain restrictions, that's just an aspect of business. I don't have anything to do specific with that, but I know that that's a factor,
right?
That may explain why we do find these out-of-state companies that can come in, and then we've tried to put certain. And again, these are all legislative things, by the way, that if you want to find out more about where do these discussions go, it would have to go through anyone in the more of the legislative perspective of things, because that's where that would come from. I know it's been tried. I do know that people have tried to change it, but the legislature has never changed it. I don't know if it was different before a certain time. I just know since I've been here about 8 years now, that's been the way it is they do allow it, because they don't want to restrict Maryland-based companies from being able to do business outside of Maryland in this region because of where we're at. And it often does take many companies right outside of our region. They do business, a lot of business, Virginia, DC, Delaware, Pennsylvania, West Virginia is probably included in that space. And so they don't want to restrict you from going out. So we don't restrict people out coming in. It's a balance, delicate balance. We're trying to do our best. So, all right. I don't have any other questions, at least not from the members that have been here today. I do appreciate you guys being with us today. Ken, I don't know if you guys have some closing remarks, or Heather, you have any closing remarks or anything else, please let us know.
I'll just close with thank you to you and Lisa for helping us with the series. Thank you for Yun and Heather and the group for coming on and presenting today. Lots of very valuable information, and look forward to working with you guys in the future.
All right. Go ahead. No, I saw one more question, and I'll answer it before we go off. That last question was just if you're a new business, right, and you have not yet, you don't have revenue numbers that you can put forward when you're applying for these programs, how do you handle not having that previous work?
Correct. We don't look at your revenue on what work your company has done in the past. We look at your experience and in the NAICS codes that you're trying to apply for. For example, if you are a consultant, your company consults small businesses, just having that experience from the applicant's personal background, reflected on the resume, giving examples and things like that. So we don't look at revenue. You can have zero revenue. A lot of people will register their company, say today, and apply tomorrow to be a part of our program. So we're not looking for revenue. That's not what we're looking for.
And in the case that the question maybe is related to contracting per se, because yes, some contracts are going to come out and they're going to say they're looking for 3 years of performance experience. So one thing that I've learned listening to experts in this space is when you hear performance experience, yes, it's almost always relating to who or what work have you done as a business where you've gotten paid as that business. Now, if you don't have that just yet, then you want to use the term more of relevant experience, where you could then use that, which is what personal experience are you bringing into this new business? Maybe you've been 30 years doing it for someone else. Now you start your own business, but you don't have contracts yet, so you can't provide performance experience, but you can still say, look, I have relevant experience to this space because I've been doing it for 30 years. I did it here, there. Then you can refer back to that relevant experience versus that performance experience when we talk about the contract. Part of it, if you're finding that in contracts, they're asking for certain things. So, and always ask questions, by the way, when you first find a contract. There's always a Q&A period, usually baked into that, and you want to send that information or those questions in a written format to the procurement officers. They will usually respond back to everyone. So they're not going to respond individually to you if you ask a question like this, let's say, related to a contract, but they will answer the question in what they call an amendment, where everybody can read. And then they'll put all 20 or 30 questions, whatever questions they received, and they'll answer all of them in one form. And they'll add that as part of an amendment to the contract itself. So just keep that in mind as well.
And one last thing I would like to say is when you do apply, it can be overwhelming with all the documentations that we request. All I can suggest is that don't sit down in one time period and try to fill out the whole application. It could take sometimes days, weeks, months, just to gather the information that we request. So just do not get discouraged with all the information that we request.
All right. Ken, I know Ken is, he's probably getting, I know he had to sort of transport himself, so he may be sort of in transit.
Yeah,
so I don't know, between Ken and Melissa, if you guys can send us out. I'll just say thank you to everyone for today, and you have our contact information. My slides will also be shared with everyone, so you have that contact information if you need to reach out to our office, and then we'll do what we can to help you guys out.
And can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, again, thank you to you and to Lisa and to Yun and Heather for your valuable information. And we're looking forward to our upcoming event in July.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you.
it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.